All right, so let's go over the rules. So obviously this is our first mock draft. Obviously it's not our first mock draft, but it's our first recorded mock draft. No trades. All right, Colt. So the first pick is Carolina Panthers. It says their team needs QB, edge, tight end, wide receiver. Who did you go with?
First of all, you don't trade up that many spots unless you're taking a quarterback. They've kind of had a little bit of smoke around the pick, but you're taking Bryce Young. Like, there's no secret to it. That's who they fell in love with. They're going with Bryce Young.
You think Bryce Young?
Yeah.
I think they shock, and they take C.J. Stroud instead.
I mean, the concerns with Bryce Young is he's small. Dude's a gamer, and he's played against some of the best teams you'll find. If he can hold up at the SEC, he can hold up to anybody, in my opinion.
So you got Bryce Young at first. I got C.J. Stroud. That's 2 QBs off the board already for both of us. Or, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
1 QB off the board. All right, number 2. It is the Texans. They need a QB, edge, or receiver, guard. I feel like this is a pick that's not going to be a QB. That's going to be like a shocker. So who did you have the Texans taking?
I have them sticking with the quarterback and C.J. Stroud. I know a lot of people have kind of been back and forth on him. He's tested poorly. I think at the end of the day, Houston needs everything. They really, really do.
Yeah, and in that prime spot to rebuild.
Yeah.
Like the first key piece.
Yeah, and I mean, got a new regime there. They're going to take a quarterback, in my opinion. And I got them going with CJ.
I had them taking the first defensive player off the board with Will Anderson.
I mean,
Shocker.
He's a beast. And
Yeah.
I mean,
And it would be a Texans move.
yeah, I mean, and it's not necessarily that they would be messing up either. I mean, historically, when they've been in that, 1 to 2 range, I mean, they've shown that they're not afraid to take a pass rusher above quarterbacks. So, I mean, I definitely don't consider that out of the realm of possibilities. If there's a team that's going to do something like that, I do think it's Houston.
I feel like ever since they traded away J.J. Watt, I feel like they need another guy like that. Because ever since J.J. Watt's left, the Texans have been like...
There's
they were
nothing to
relevant
watch them
before,
for,
let's be real.
really.
Yeah, but like
They need to put butts in seats, that's for sure.
the third pick is going to Arizona. They need a cornerback, edge, defensive tackle, and a running back.
Yeah, that roster needs a lot, and they need a lot of views. I actually got them going with Will Anderson there. They need edge really, really bad. I think they're actually not as far away as people seem to think. I don't think Kyler Murray's as bad as people think. He'll come out with a lot to prove this year. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I think Will Anderson would be a welcome addition to that defense, though.
I think Jalen Carter is going to get snagged here, defensive tackle from Georgia. I feel, I do think the defense needs more help in their offense. Like at the end of the day, the Cardinals are only as good as Kyler Murray is going to be. That's really what it comes down to. But I think of a hype and more defense, it should help them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, in defensive line specifically, they need front seven help. They've spent a lot of high-profile picks on like their linebacking group in years past, and some of them panned out, some of them didn't. But a lot of that, to me, I think, is because their front four is that bad.
Mm-hmm.
You got to keep your linebackers clean for them to be able to show who they are.
Now, this is the one I think where it starts to get a little interesting. The fourth spot, the Colts, who need a QB edge, guard, tackle, and a receiver. So basically, their whole,
Yeah, they need a lot.
Box. Yeah. But obviously, you can't do anything without a QB, and they've shown that. They've had Phillip Rivers the last couple of years, or a year. They had Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz.
Yeah, they're kind of done with the old man rental idea.
With that being said, who did you have them take?
It's been linked that they are very interested in Will Levis. And that's who I had them taking. They definitely need a quarterback, and I think they need somebody young to kind of grow their roster around. They're a good team as is, and they're not that far away. I'm not a huge Will Levis guy, but if there's a situation where he can come in and actually play decent, I think it's Indy.
I do feel like, in my heart, that's how I wanted to pick for this. But I feel like Will Levis, even though there's a lot of hype around him right now, I don't think he's a top 5 pick. And I feel like, in my picks at least, with Bryce Young still there, Andy takes Bryce Young instead of Will Levis. Which I feel like either one of those is a possibility, but I feel like it might be more towards your pick, Will Levis.
Yeah, I just don't have Bryce Young sitting around on the board that long. I mean, it's possible. Anything's possible. You never really can tell how these NFL teams are going to great guys or any of that stuff.
You got to think about the top four. Look at the top four teams. These teams in the recent years have had a lot of issues with like dumb decisions. The only one that's been possible here that's been like a smart team is actually the Panthers in my book, because they traded up for number one pick. They know who they want to get, and to be fair, last year they were real scary. Not having a head coach.
Carolina's not going to be bad. That division's wide open. It's really anybody's game. We'll see though. Quarterback's going to mean a lot for them though. They have to nail that pick at 1, and that's going to decide. To me, that's the pick that decides the division right there, if they hit the quarterback or not.
Yeah. Well, the 5th pick, the Seattle Seahawks. They need a guard, edge, receiver, cornerback, and linebacker. So I don't know why the linebacker one's there, because they just reacquired Bobby Wagner, but it could be there for future purposes. Yeah, future purposes, because he may have played 1 or 2 more years. I was gonna go linebacker, surprising linebacker, but this linebacker class is not that good.
Yeah, it's actually
in my eyes for the first round.
Pretty deep linebacker class, but it's not a top end heavy. I don't know if there's a first round pick on the board from the linebacker spot this year.
And I don't think Seattle's trying to reach with the 5th pick. The 5th pick's a good pick. So who'd you have them taking?
I had them going with Anthony Richardson. I'm not personally a huge fan. However, I understand his talent's outrageous. It'd be a spot where he can kind of sit behind Geno. And Pete Carroll is tried and true. He knows how to coach quarterbacks. I really think Anthony Richardson would fit well there, and it's a good spot for him to be able to be groomed without having to worry about playing right away with Geno there. So I had him going with Anthony Richardson.
And that team, to be honest, is one of the teams I feel like with like 1 or 2 good pieces, like pickups, they could probably take that, compete with that division again. Well, that pick, I had them taking another lineman or defensive lineman, which is Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech, which might be the most out of reach one here, but
he's got really good athleticism. He's got the skill set to be one of those guys. You can obviously question, who has he played against? He plays at Texas Tech, but I think he's got the tools. He's a good athlete. I think he can make some noise at that edge spot.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another one of those teams where if they had a solid defense helping their offense out, the offense wouldn't have to struggle as much like the Cardinals and the Seahawks have. They can put points on the board, but it don't matter if they get outscored every game.
Right.
All right, so the 6th spot, this is another interesting one for me. I was really excited to pick for. The Lions. They were very exciting last year. Cincinnati, basically all DBs, cornerback, safety, linebacker, tight end, and QB.
Yeah, I actually do like Detroit. They're not my team, but I want them to do well. I really like their head coach. I think Dan Campbell's going to be really good for them. I hope they stick with him long enough. But I had them going with, after they traded away Jeff Okudah, he had up and down, kind of couldn't get it healthy. It was time for both of them to reset, them and Okudah. So I got them going with Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. Very good, tall, lanky corner. I think he fits good with them. He likes people that can bite people's kneecaps off and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, very aggressive team. I actually had them taking a quarterback here, and might be surprising, was Anthony Richardson from Florida. If he steps in and he's as an athlete as they say they are, or say he is, he could do something with this team. They're not they have explosiveness, but with the loss of Williams, it might be a little more rough to win, because he was part of that huge explosiveness. I feel like it was a loss for them to let him go.
Yeah, and he brought a lot of heart to that team. But, and that's a similar situation to Seattle as far as Anthony Richardson's concerned. A good quarterback, not a great quarterback, somebody that, he doesn't necessarily have to challenge right away. He can sit behind somebody and, try to learn the ropes, because at Florida, he was not that good of a quarterback. He was a good athlete, not a good quarterback.
And, I also got to look at the division now. With Aaron Rodgers out of Green Bay for the first time in 14 years, that division is pretty much wide open, I feel like.
Yeah, especially with a roster like theirs. They have as good of a shot as anybody. They're poised with a good roster, and it's really anybody's division. I personally think the Vikings will probably take it this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was Detroit.
The next one, team that traded away their starting QB this year to the Saints, the Raiders at 7. Offensive tackle, defensive tackle, cornerback, safety, and guard is what they need.
So they really need a bit of everything. To me, they just somehow they always end up messing up the whole board somehow. It's always them or Cleveland. It feels like maybe they've got it figured out now. Who knows? But actually got them going with Tyree Wilson. They love their athletes. They need edge really bad. They need somebody to go beside Max. I think Tyree Wilson would be a good fit there.
I actually have the Raiders taking a tackle here from Paris Johnson Jr. going from Ohio State, who's the first tackle on my board at least.
Yeah, I mean, I like him a lot. The other one people argue for, Peter Skoronsky, he's more of a guard. I know everybody talks about his short arms. But to me, he's kind of a violent player, and typically your violent players are the best guards. Not that that's a bad thing, but yeah, I agree. I think Paris Johnson is the best tackle.
Nope, and I think he's the first to go off the board for tackles. Other than that, the Raiders, they're not. I don't think they're really in a position to win, but they're in a position to build. I think that's what they'll do this year. Not much to say about them, really. They're in a good spot. Take something good.
They might be in one of those situations where they're looking for next year's quarterback class. I think they might be a little too low. I mean, maybe they trade up if they really love one of these guys. I think they're probably looking more towards next year's class as far as quarterback.
That moves up to number 8 spot, the Falcons. They need offensive guard, offensive tackle, edge, defensive tackle, corner. They looked very good last year. Towards the end of the season, a lot of good picks from them, just very young.
Yeah,
I feel like this is their time.
They're doing good as far as picking the right players. Like, even their late round guys have been hitting. Their first round has been a little shaky. Drake London had a good season, but for where they picked him, you'd like to see it a little bit more. I mean, you can argue that it's the quarterback situation that held it down. But, yeah, I got them going with Jalen Carter. He's too good of an athlete to keep falling. He's a Georgia kid. They're going to love it. People around here will love it. I think he could really turn into a beast, but he also has a lot of character issues. I think Atlanta's actually a really good locker room. They can handle him. I think he would be a good fit here. So, yeah, I got them taking Jalen Carter at number 8.
If the Falcons get him at 8, that'll be a huge win for them. The defense was solid last year, but I felt they need more help on defense from a younger group than they do on offense. Offense, they got the trinity of young people on that team already. The quarterback, running back, and a receiver. Defense needs a little help.
I personally think their young quarterback, Desmond Ridder, is going to be good. I know not a lot of people share in that, but he only got 4 games worth of work with scrubs out there with him. I don't think he really had a fair shot, but we'll see. I think he's going to be solid, though. Yeah,
and Desmond, when we were watching the game, he made a lot of good plays that were kind of no one really said anything about, because it was the end of the season, but the plays were there. I actually got them taking a tackle here. Second tackle go off the board from Georgia as well, another Georgia guy. Broderick Jones from Georgia, because I feel like he'll be right at home.
Yeah,
they're far off because Jalen Carter's gone on mine. So, and they could use the help on the line.
It would make sense. They really, really need a left guard, and they got a tackle that's aging. You could slide somebody inside and shore up the line for sure. But yeah, they definitely need line help. Not as much as what people may think. It's just one guard spot to me that they really need to shore up. And once they get that done, their offense should be humming. With the already 1,000-yard running back, it kind of came out of nowhere last year. I think they're poised for a good season. The division's wide open once again, and it's just one of those teams that if they nail this draft, have a good rookie class, it really could put them over the top for the division.
All right, let's move to the 9th spot. The team that traded down from the number 1 pick, Chicago Bears, and they need offensive tackle, receiver, edge, guard, and defensive tackle.
So, Chicago's a team that needs a lot of help to build around Justin Fields. I think he is a very good quarterback. That team does not have a lot of help around him, though. He's kind of doing everything for himself. I kind of looked at receiver for them, thought that might be a little too rich at 9. I think receivers are pretty deep, so you could probably pick one up a little bit later, maybe second round. So I had them going with Paris Johnson. Like you said, best tackle on the board. I don't think there's any doubts in my mind about that. Give somebody to protect Justin Fields and help out in the run game as well. So they definitely need help everywhere on offense for Justin Fields to be able to progress into the player he can become.
The one thing that has been good is Justin Fields there, even though people give him a lot of crap. It's he has no help at all.
Yeah, and they lack an identity as a team. They need, let's get something going here.
I actually haven't taken defensive player this year. I've used the same mindset that you have a good defense, your offense benefits from it. I got them taking Miles Murphy from Clemson, and I don't have much to say about the Bears. It's kind of hard to they're not like the Lions who actually have a top 7 pick because they traded down. I don't know why If I was him, I wouldn't have traded away anyways. But I think they won the trade in the long haul, which maybe
Absolutely.
they're playing.
They need too much to pick at number 1, and they don't need a quarterback. Put it up for sale and see who buys, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, and it probably will benefit them in the long haul. But we'll see who they take at number 9, if it'll be worth it at all. All right, number 10, the team that was in the Super Bowl this year, Philadelphia Eagles. It says they need a cornerback, edge, safety, D-tackle, linebacker. So all defense.
Yeah, I mean, and their defense is already really good. So, I mean, I have them taking Christian Gonzalez, in my opinion, the best corner in the draft. I think he's a good fit for them, and he fell right into their lap. I mean, they'll have the pick of the litter at this spot. They needed corner, and they've needed corner for the past, it feels like, decade. But they're a good team. It's amazing they were able to pull it off to be able to have a top 10 pick like that. But to me, they're truly a team that can just take the best player that drops to them. And in this case, just happens to be, a corner, and it's still the top one on the board.
And the Eagles have, I feel like, for them to be in Super Bowl contention, like they have done a real good job as like a GM in office, getting more picks and getting more spots to get filled. Who I also have them picking Christian Gonzalez, first corner of my draft to go, because I know they need it bad. I could see them taking anything else on defense, but I feel like corner is the spot they need to take.
Yeah, and I've seen some people talking about they might move up for Jalen Carter, but they took last year's Georgia big defensive lineman, and I don't think they necessarily need it as bad as people think they do. Their defensive front is really good.
All right, number 11, Tennessee Titans. I feel like this is another interesting one. There's talks recently of them taking a QB now, any lineman, a receiver, and an edge.
They need a lot. They're starting to lose their identity as that nasty ground and pound team. I got them taking Peter Skoronski. I feel like his attitude is a perfect fit for Mike Vrabel. I think it's a perfect fit for their offense, even if he does slide into guard. They need him. They need the attitude. They've been swinging and missing in past years with like Isaiah Wilson, and yeah, I think they really need just the big nasty guy up there. So I think Peter Skoronski would fit greatly with Tennessee Titans.
I have them actually moving on from Tannehill, and I got them taking Will Levis as a replacement because I feel like this is like one of those Tennessee guys that they like, who they'll actually compete with. The question is, will he even be here at number 11? That's what the real question really is.
I mean, I personally, I'm not a true believer in Will Levis. However, the need of a quarterback is kind of shooting him up draft boards. It's just the truth.
Number 12, second pick from the top 15 for the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, so they really have a chance to put themselves on a spot to really build for something for the future. I have them taking Jackson Smith and Jigba to pair back up with C.J. Stroud. They get to stay together, keep their new rookie quarterback comfortable. I think it's a good fit. They need weapons. They need a lot. But, they need butts and seats more than anything. So I think that would go a long way with helping out that problem.
I also had them taking Jackson, as I felt my first pick was an edge. And, C.J. Stroud's gone at this point. Obviously, he's not making it to 12 unless some weird freaking nature event happens. But I feel like they also need help at, this scoring. And the best way to do that is obviously running back and receivers.
Yeah,
I feel like your situation is more likely if they take C.J. Stroud with the second pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a great move for them. It's teammates already. I mean, they got chemistry. Bring them down to Houston. Let them put up some points. Let some people get excited around Houston. They haven't been excited about their football team in, quite some time. So give them something to get excited about.
All right, 13. So 13 and 15 are swapped. There's just a note. Colton did his before. The day before
Rodgers
got traded. Yeah, and I did mine at literally yesterday. So we're just gonna, they're 2 picks apart. It's not that much of a difference. Yeah. 13 is now the Packers. I have them taking the ultimate punch in the face for Aaron Rodgers, a receiver here, with Jordan Addison, USC. After he's gone, they have Jordan Love.
Because it's not like they're going to get a quarterback at that spot. Right. They're not going to get a quarterback at that late. I think they do need some weapons up there, and it's funny because even before the Green Bay trade for letting go of Aaron Rodgers, I had kind of already, put it into the universe. I had also gone wide receiver. Or whatever even happened, just at the mindset of, hey, he's going to be gone, so they're going to take one just because. I got them taking Quentin Johnston, big body guy, out of TCU, very explosive. They can get creative with him. I know their head coach likes to get creative in their plays. Jordan Addison's a good wide receiver too. He's a good choice. Good route runner. Kind of reminds me of Calvin Ridley. So, I mean, I don't think there's a wrong choice there, but it's kind of funny. We both went wide receiver as soon as Aaron's gone.
Let's just say they're going to take a receiver because it's probably what's going to happen. I don't think they really need anything else. I don't think there's a tight end good enough to take it this spot. They could use a tight end too, but I feel like the tight end class in this one's not that top heavy. It's
very deep though. This is the year to get a tight end if your team needs a tight end.
Yeah, which they'll probably get one second round, third round, But at 13, they're probably taking someone with immediate impact.
It's too rich for a tight end. I agree. Maybe at the bottom half of the first round, the 20s, 30s, I think you'll be getting there.
Bill Belichick land with the New England Patriots. But they need receiver, cornerback, linebacker, edge, defensive tackle. I have them taking Devin Witherspoon here. Bill Belichick's never really taken a receiver that early, and he's made do of it.
So I have them taking Broderick Jones from Georgia, big tackle. Bill Belichick's one of those guys that values SEC players. For some reason, he loves them. But he also values his offensive line. He knows, to win football games, you got to have a good line, especially if Mac Jones is your quarterback. I think it's a good fit for them, too. Last year they took Cole straight to the first round, which is a bit strange. But, Broderick Jones, lock down the offensive line, never a bad idea, especially with a young quarterback.
Move across the division to the now Aaron Rodgers Jets. At 15, they need a tackle, center, edge, and a QB, which QB is now why?
Yeah, I mean, the Jets have already shown they're willing to baby Aaron before they ever even got him. They were already, listening to everything he wanted. So, in lieu of that, I think their offense is pretty much set up the way it's going to be. He got the guys he wanted in there. They already had a solid nucleus for their offense. So I have him going with Nolan Smith, a freaky edge rusher. He's got all the talent in the world. Very speedy guy. I think he'll pair nicely with their last year's first-round pick. So their defensive line will be really good. One of the best defensive lines. And when you're playing against the Bills, that's who you're going to go through. And the Dolphins got to be able to get at the quarterback. We've also got some young guys there that are really good, like Garrett Wilson had a phenomenal year last year.
I actually have them taking protection for Aaron Rodgers. The way I see it, you get a QB, veteran QB. You don't want him to get whacked every play. So I have him taking Peter from Northwestern, aggressive lineman, to protect Aaron. All right, 16, a team that is now being sold, the Washington Commanders. They need a corner, a linebacker, an edge, a guard, and a defensive tackle.
I do have them taking Deontay Banks, quarterback Maryland. Kind of a hometown pick there. I think he'd fit well with them. They need a lot of help on their back end. I think he's a good fit for them. I mean, maybe they could build something there. I know Ron Rivera likes his corners. He likes them, he likes them some defensive players. And they got a good defense, so hey, you got an identity. Continue to keep it.
I also have them taking a corner with Joey Porter Jr. From Penn State. I really think, like you said, QB is where they need to make an improvement.
Yeah, but I mean, at the position they're picking, fortunately for them, I don't think there's much they're going to be able to do about that in this draft. They're one of those teams that are, they like to say they're stuck in purgatory. They're too good to be bad enough to have a quarterback pick, but they're too bad to actually, push for a Super Bowl.
So number 17, Pittsburgh Steelers. Always been a good team. Mike Tomlin, probably one of my favorite coaches.
Yeah, very well coached. They're always well coached. You know that for a fact.
Oh, I feel like that's one of the teams, no matter who is there, who's at QB, who's playing, their personality has never changed. They're going to beat you up. They're going to do all this stuff. Their needs are receiver, center, tackle, edge, corner.
So I have them going Joey Porter Jr. I mean, it makes sense. His dad played there. He was a linebacker, of course. They need corner, especially after they lost Cam Sutton to the Lions in the offseason. I think it'd pair well. They've always had a really good secondary, really good defense overall. I don't think they're a team that's far away. So, yeah, I think Joey Porter Jr. would be the pick for them.
Yeah, and they're, like we said, they're a good coach team. I feel like the last couple of years, it was the first time that Mike Tomlin's had a losing record, right? Or is that someone else?
Probably was. I mean, the dude's a beast. He's been there for what feels like forever now. But, I mean, he finds a way to always keep them competitive, even though, they lose big-name guys.
The roster isn't the best.
Yeah. they've lost the who's of offensive players especially, and somehow, some way they just stay relevant.
I have them taking a tackle here, Darnell Wright from Tennessee. Other than that, nothing else to really say about the Steelers. They're gonna be good. They're gonna compete. They always do. All right, so the second first round pick for the Lions at 18. Lions need a corner, safety, linebacker, tight end, QB.
I got them taking Jordan Addison. I think that would go a long way in continuing to complete that offense. They got DeAndre Swift in the backfield. I think Jordan Addison would definitely put them over the top. I mean, they just had I think it'd be a good fit for them, and I think it could really take their offense over the top. And like we said, that division's kind of wide open right now.
I actually have the Lions taking Brian Branch here. I think he's the first safety on my board to go.
Yeah, I like Brian Branch. I think he's going to be a good player. Just teams don't value safety like they used to as much. I don't know why, because they like to pay them.
They should. Yeah, they should.
Yeah, and a lot of times your safeties are who lines up your defense. They're the furthest one back. They control your corners, and they help a lot with that kind of stuff. Your alignments. So safety is very important.
All right, 19, Tampa Bay, QB, edge, corner, guard, running back.
So with Tampa Bay, I actually got them going with Darnell Wright. Obviously, I'm a Tennessee fan. He is a stud. Didn't let up a sack all year last year. I think people are really underrating how good he actually is. He is a right tackle, though. He's not going to play left for you. He played left for us his junior year, and we moved him over to right. A lot of people are like, why are we moving him to right? Well, we see why now, because we found his natural position, and he was an absolute stud. And I think Tampa would really like to shore up their line. I think that is exactly what they need.
With Donovan Smith being number one and holding calls last year and being cut now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a very solid pick. That's what I originally wanted to go with outside of Hendo, but I have the Bucs taking a very odd pick, which might be a reality at 19. First running back to go.
Bijan Robinson. Yeah, he's a beast.
Which, from all I've heard, is he's an animal. And if he's available at 19, he probably won't be available for much longer, because this is the part of the draft where all the good guys that are definers are pretty much going.
Yeah, and for me,
you gotta get what's left over.
Yeah, and for me, Bijan to me is a top 5 talent in the draft. He is a beast. However, his position, he's gonna fall. So I mean, if you can get a guy that is a top 5 player in the draft and you get him at 19, absolutely, you take that shot.
20, Seattle again. Seattle was the 5th pick, I think. Yeah, they're back on the board at 20.
I have them going with Miles Murphy here. I mean, I think you were not wrong when you had them going with an edge. I think they do need it. And like you said, they are known to be a good defense. Miles Murphy's a perfect fit for them. I think if this is the way their draft goes, I think that'd be a win for them.
They're like the Lions in this sense. They competed last year. I think the Lions and them are very similar teams right now. They competed last year when nobody expected them to, and they both have 2 first-round picks when they shouldn't probably. And I have them taking Deontay Banks from Maryland, the corner, another defensive spot. You got 2 first-round picks. Make it worth it. 21, the Chargers have the 21 spot. Receiver, tackle, corner, edge, running back is what they need.
Yeah, so I got them picking up my boy Jalen Hyatt. They do have some good receivers out there, but they don't have any burners. Regardless of how he ran his 40, from what I've heard, he didn't really practice with it or anything like that. Dude knows how to get open. You can say it's scheme, but hey, when you're going up against
works.
Yeah, and if you're going up against the Nick Sabans of the world, that man's just, the scheme master as far as his defense. So if he can't figure out how to bracket you, you're a really good player. So I think he would be the speed added to their offense that they really need, and I think it could really unlock the potential of Justin Herbert and kind of push him over the top a bit.
And you're also sleeping on the fact that Keenan Allen's on the opposite side of him, making way more separation for both of them, really.
Right, and you got Mike Williams, too.
And I also have taken a receiver here. Mine is Quentin Johnston, from TCU.
Right. Also a speed guy.
It could really work, with Keenan Allen there. He's always been good. He's been very underrated, in my opinion. If he had someone across the way from him, someone with that much impact like Jalen Hyatt or Johnston, you can really do some damage. Especially the cannon that Justin Herbert has. Very entertaining. All right, 22, a very interesting team. Baltimore. Receiver, corner, guard, tackle, defensive tackle.
I got them going with Zay Flowers. In my opinion, probably the most slept-on receiver in this class. I honestly think he's probably the best one out of the group. Kid's an absolute stud. I see him being a number 1 receiver. And Baltimore needs one sorely. I think they're going to end up keeping Lamar Jackson and all that's going to get figured out. When that does, he's going to need somebody to throw the ball to. I mean, I know they run the ball a lot, but he's going to need somebody out there. I mean, the top receivers last year, Sammy Watkins? Like, he needs some help there for sure.
I figured Baltimore was going to make another mistake and not giving him a weapon and taking Brian Brisset from Clemson.
Yeah, and with Brisset, I see him as a lot of like Derek Stingley from last year. Had a really, really good season. I think it was his freshman, maybe his sophomore year, and then had a couple down years to follow it up. I mean, he's got the ceiling, but you don't know where his floor is though. We've seen him play really good, and we've seen him play, not so good. So we'll see how it plays out for him.
All right, 23. Gold. Minnesota Vikings. I have them taking Kelee Ringo from Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a good fit for them. It seems like they always need corner, one of those teams. With the Dalvin Cook situation being kind of up in the air, I think they're probably going to move on from him. It's been, known thing, like, don't pay your running backs that crazy amount of money because it will put you in a spot. Because, unfortunately, with running backs, their lifespans in the NFL are just not that long. So I had them going with Bijan Robinson, running back Texas, move on from Dalvin Cook and immediately replace him with what's probably going to be, out of the gate, one of the top running backs in the league.
24. A team that surprised a lot of people last year was the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have them taking the first tight end.
Ooh, I like that.
I have them taking Dalton from Utah.
Okay, Dalton Kincaid. Yeah, no, he's going to be a good player. Like I said, man, this is a really good year to need a tight end. I think a lot of teams are going to be eyeballing him. There's more than one that I can see actually making it into the first round. So, with that being said, I had him taking a guy, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his name. He's an edge from Northwestern. Absolute beast of an athlete. You could never have too much pass rush. And I think they can set themselves up in a spot to where they can kind of run away with this division in the future.
Doug's done a really good job at coaching them on there last year.
Absolutely.
To literally come in and just immediately start winning was impressive, because it makes you think how much of the losses before were just the staff, messing things up.
Yeah,
not the team.
The moment they got Doug Peterson, I kind of thought to myself, like, wow, they finally got serious about winning some football games.
25. New York.
Really good coach over there, Brian Dable.
I have them taking a linebacker here, the first linebacker off the board.
Okay.
Trenton Simpson from Clemson.
I got them going with Osiris Torrance from Florida. Hard. I think you're going to need to be able to run the ball with Daniel Jones as your quarterback, and I think they're going to ride with him. I don't think he's terrible. He's not elite, but is he good enough to put you in the playoffs? Sure. Why not? So I think they're going to definitely need to be able to run the ball, though. Regardless if Saquon's your guy or not, long term, going to need to put some road graders up front.
26. The Dallas Cowboys.
I got them going with Anton Harrison from Oklahoma. I know he's a tackle, but they need line help. One time, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, they were just the most dominant line in football. Well, those guys got older, so they need some help up there now. And, once again, if your team has an identity, keep it. I think that would go a long way towards keeping it. Tech Dak, and up your run game. As this year is going to be Tony Pollard's year, you're going to need him to break out in a big way. So, put you some big boys up front, let them run.
I have them taking Kalijah Cansey, Pittsburgh.
Oh, yeah, stud.
Tackle. Yeah, and at 26, I feel like that's a very good pick for them. 27, a team I feel like is also in the same boat as Dallas. The Buffalo Bills.
I got them taking Cam Smith from South Carolina. It seems like South Carolina every year has a really good corner coming out. They always pan out for some reason. That's a team that's, obviously they're right there for the Super Bowl. One or two pieces. I mean, they're coming out of a really tough conference over there. Yeah, I think, you got to be able to stop people if you want to win games, especially when you're going to have to, the division or the conference runs through the Chiefs, so got to stop somebody.
And I have them take Cam Smith as well, actually, right here. 28. Speaking of a guy, Joe Burrow on the Bengals has probably been the most impactful quarterback in recent memory besides Patrick Mahomes.
I don't know why it's not listed. They actually do need a safety because the Falcons just signed him. But I got them going with Brian Branch here. I think it'd be great value. And, yeah, they need one. So I think it's a great fit for them. Somebody will keep their defensive backs lined up. And once again, like we said, they're going to have to go through Buffalo and Kansas City. Going to need defense.
Yeah, and Brian Branch at 28 would be a steal for Cincinnati.
Absolutely.
I have them taking the second tight end, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah, very good player.
He's a good player. I feel like for this pick, Brian Branch is gone for me already. That was going to be on my original thought at 28, but I think Brian Branch is going way earlier than 28. 29, New Orleans Saints, the first pick of the draft. I feel like New Orleans is definitely in a rebuild situation. They're kind of just loading up pieces, and I have them taking Nolan Smith from Georgia here.
Okay, yeah,
29.
They're another one of those teams that are in danger of kind of going into that purgatory type phase.
At 29, it's very hard to get somebody that late, and it'd be a steal.
And Nolan Smith could absolutely be. I mean, he's a very good athlete. But I've been going with Clay Shikansi. I mean, like we said earlier, absolute freak. This would be the steal of the draft, in my opinion. I think if there's somebody on our list that I could definitely make a jump up, it's him.
Number 30, Philadelphia Eagles. I had them taking Christian Gonzalez at 10.
Yeah, I also had them taking Christian Gonzalez at 10. So they actually kind of quietly need a running back. Miles Sanders, he left. He's with the Panthers now. They need a running back, and with a player like Jahmyr Gibbs on the board, he's a very rare talent. Reminds me of a whole lot of Alvin Kamara. Very balanced guy, can run routes, can make catches like wide receivers can, but can still take the ball up the middle. So I think that'll transform that offense, and with him and Jalen Hurts in the backfield, watch out.
Previous pick, I took another edge here over Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Okay.
For a team that's in the Super Bowl, they have a lot of good picks coming up in the first round. They could really, really utilize on.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a team that can be real scary for some time to come.
Which brings us to number 31, Kansas City.
So, I mean, this is a team, personally, I feel like this is probably a trade spot, either up or back. With so many good receivers in the first round, I really could see them trading up for one. If they decide to trade back, I wouldn't be surprised about that either. And if they do trade back, it's probably going to be somebody coming up, in my opinion, probably to get Hendon Hooker, because teams value that fifth-year option on quarterbacks so greatly. But I got them going with Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia. As far as an athlete, very rare skill set. I mean, that's just not a player you see come along very often. And with the creativity of Andy Reid, good Lord, what could they do with that man? I mean,
I actually have you guys taking a person that probably fell low on my drafts. Would probably be gone by this point, but Antoine Harrison from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Good linemen are hard to find for a long time. Well, guys, and people watching, that was our mock drafts for 2023. Thank you guys for watching.